Good morning to you, Senna.
And 1 year on, I can't. So I still. It's still difficult to forget some of the conversations we had. And do people still? Do you still see people sounding the same way with the same level of cynicism whenever you put out outcome of polls and surveys, or you see some improvement?
I would say we've seen some improvement. The improvement, I think, has been forced onto them because you cannot be in denial forever. You know, if you didn't believe us in the 2024 election, you've seen Akwetia. So what else would you say? The problem I have faced in particular is that they think that I am an MDC person and that I'm doing that to favor NDC. But I've said to them that look at the outcome of our polls, or look at the polls and the outcomes of the actual elections. If indeed I'm an NDC person and I'm getting this accurate, then you must as well believe that.
So you still hear that, but improvement. But there's still the perception that you are NDC.
Yes, that I think that would be difficult to erase because the polling has been favoring NDC. Okay. And until they see otherwise, they might think I'm still an NDC.
So for those who are listening to us and still have that level of, it's just forecasting. They realize, perhaps see the dynamics and then just go and put some numbers together. Exactly, how do you come by the outcomes you share with us?
Senna, it starts with investment. I have put a lot of investment into the technology that we use to collect data, analyze data. We've also established a very vast network of field officers, volunteers, who are in every corner of this country. All the 276 constituencies, we have people there, at least 2 or 3. So when we are talking about data, it comes from the people's mouth, from the ground. And also having the mindset that we are here to seek the truth and nothing more. So even if the person doing the survey in Wali Wali, even if his uncle is Baumia, he does not care about the relationship. He cares about the validity and accuracy of the data. If we are doing a poll in Bole Bamboy, and the field officer's family is Don Mahama, he doesn't care about the person he relates to. He cares about the integrity of the data. So that is very important. So when it comes to data integrity, I think we are up there. And that is the reason why we get things right. And let me tell you, in the last 12 months alone, as an organization, we have interviewed close to, let me figure the precise number. We have interviewed about 328,000 people in this country.
12 months?
Yes.
That's a lot. 328,000 individuals.
Individuals have been interviewed. Some are in commercial research, market research, but a lot of these are on governance, political opinion poll, delegates of the parties. So when we speak, it comes from the volume of data we have. Data mining. We can go through all these kinds of data and pick a pattern, pick a behavior, and analyze that behavior and predict accurately what they will do.
But did the initial skepticism about your work make sense to you?
Yes, it does, or it did. Look, I've been in this country for some time. I used to follow polls regularly. Indeed, in the days of Ben Epstein on Crossfire and stuff like that, we saw polls there. And we have a perception in this country that we don't have trust in the people who do polls. There is always a thought that he must be with NDC or he must be with MPP. Actually, it doesn't matter whether if that poster is aligned to MPP or aligned to NDC, but it's what he or she is doing grounded in science and methodology. If the answer is yes, I don't care which party he belongs to, because science doesn't have party affiliation. If you are sick and you go to the hospital, the doctor may be NDC doctor, but he will diagnose the same malaria like MPP doctor. It makes no difference. The difficulty we've had in the past is that there are people who are MPP or NDC aligned voters, and they can't put their heart out of the data, and they get kind of buried in it, and then begin to sound unobjectively.
And that really was the problem you inherited, because there are those who feel sometimes we put our trust in these posters. At some point, they start to sound like they are selling to the highest bidder. And then the integrity of the polls lose integrity, because what they find and what happens are most of the times worlds apart.
Absolutely. Look, Senna, there has been several approaches to us, to me, by both political parties, individuals, wanting you to do a poll to sway certain direction. We refused. It's been going on till today. My point is, if we compromise on any of the work we do, that is the end of the integrity of our work and me as a person. Not a dime. I have never taken a dime from anybody, neither MPP nor NDC, to do what we do for public opinion. Absolutely none. And that is why, up to date, nobody can open his mouth and say Mussa Dankwa took this or that. Because they have no evidence. They know it.
So you are now confronting the same challenge that perhaps your predecessors confronted and they balked.
Yes.
But you do understand the reason perhaps a political party, candidates may approach you and ask you to do what you said some people have asked you to do?
I do understand that. And because they have a belief that the public opinion sway people to vote for you. And I've always disputed that. Look, the only time the public opinion works in your favor when you are the one that is leading is when the race is very close. Remember, the public opinion measures people's sentiment. If most people say they want you, and others want to make decisions based on how to vote, they will always go with the majority. If people say you are the one they prefer, and there are 3% who say they are undecided, those 3% would like to go to where most people are. And that is not changing public opinion. It's just telling them that this is where most people are. Now, if the polls were really influencing outcomes, what you will see is that the outcome of the polls or the outcome of the election will be far different from the opinion poll. Because at the last minute, people change their mind because of the public opinion. But all the polls we have done, you can see that the polls are within the margin of error and not outside the margin of error. If we say John was going to get 54 plus or minus 2%, and he got 70, then you could see that, or you could say that the difference between 56 and 70 is the effect of the polling. But here, 54 plus 2 is what? 56. Exactly the poll. So the poll did not change anybody's mind. They just confirmed what they said they were going to do.
So you even dispute that, because you know that opinion is a widely held opinion. That if
and
I
I've been telling them that they are misleading themselves. Senna, nobody would go and queue to vote for Mahama because the opinion poll says so. Very few would do that. People went to vote because they were struggling. economically. There was unemployment. There were issues. It wasn't the opinion poll. If it was the opinion poll, there were opinion polls that said Bawumia was winning. Why didn't that come through? Why didn't the voters follow that opinion poll?
I see.
Look, I think politicians have a way of thinking. They think swaying public works, propaganda works. It doesn't. We are in 21st century Ghana. And indeed, an era where people are very discerning. Even voters who have no education have information. They're able to make an informed decision. And it's the flow of information that has made it difficult for people to use fake opinion poll to sway public opinion.
And I want to go back to the 2024 elections for you. How crucial was that to establishing you as a credible polling organization?
Look, we've been doing this work way before 2024. And at the point, we became the reference point for companies like Fitch Solution. And for Fitch Solution to pick your data and present that data in their report to investors globally, it means something. At the point, we were the reference point for Barclays Capital in the UK to even engage external bondholders on the outcomes of the elections. We were called to kind of address many forums on election outcome long before the election 2024, because we have proven over time that using methodology that is scientific, that's robust, you will get the outcome. So the December elections just went to confirm what people already knew. But for Ghanaians, it was a manifestation of what they thought was a bogus poll.
I see. But for you, did you have any fears going into the elections?
No.
That you were going to miss it?
There was no single vein in my blood that was doubting the figures we put out there. Absolutely not. To the extent of going boldly to say Dominic Kobanya will fall, that was unthinkable.
And I always wonder, because when it comes to the surveys and the polls on election outcomes, you are careful not to assign reasons. But between the surveys you do about the direction of the country on corruption and then also the outcomes you were seeing then, were you able to perhaps connect the two as to the major reason people were heading in the direction of the NDC in such a massive manner?
Look, Senna, every question we put in the opinion poll has purpose and meaning and what we want to use that question for. We've always been asking people about the direction of the country, approval of the president, your economic condition, your standard of living, corruption. These are early warning indicators of what will happen on election day. If these metrics are not heading in the right way, trust me, you will not survive. So we had enough data to know what Ghanaians were going to do. Besides that, we were asking people what were their top 3 issues that they would take into account when they go to the polls. It has always been economy, unemployment, education, corruption. The question was, where was the economy? Where was unemployment situation then? Where was the even educational sector? Was it doing very well? And what was corruption expectations or perception? On all these metrics, the government were performing abysmally. And that led or gave us a credence to what we're seeing in the polls.
Who did you think the voters were voting on? Because up to today, the MPP people still insist that Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo was not on the ballot paper. There was Dr. Bawumia. That perhaps if President Akufo-Addo had been on the ballot paper, he might still win.
I would say surely he wouldn't have won. He wouldn't win. Absolutely not.
He wouldn't have won?
Absolutely not. There was no way MPP any MPP candidate, be it Nanado, be it Baumia. And indeed, if I go to the extreme, if you are even wearing the Pope title and you are contesting an MPP ticket in 2024,
Really?
yes.
Because there are those who are of the opinion that somebody like Kennedy Japan stood a chance.
Look, I have said to you that even Pope, if he was a candidate on MPP's ticket, would have lost.
And for you, a year on, what are your reflections on 2024?
What I've been reflecting on is the fact that public opinion is still not used by MPP. And it appears they are not aligned with the public opinion. And they are running against public opinion. And that could make things worse for them. They have to look at the polls, see where they can give credit to the government, and see where they can hit the government. In doing so, they will look reasonable. And I believe that they have competent men in the party, people who are sociologists and psychologists. If you combine these people with data scientists, they can guide them as the best way to navigate through difficult times. The honeymoon for NDC is quite long, and it's because people are really or were really angry with MPP. The level of anger has made it difficult for them to even criticize NDC. Under normal circumstances, increasing fuel levy by another 1 cedi should have created an uproar. We didn't see that. Under normal circumstances, buying aircraft should have been an uproar. People are quiet. The sentiment has changed. And that sentiment, they must reflect and they must follow the public opinion to guide them. For NDC, they must do the same. Public opinion in their favor doesn't mean it will last for long. It must guide them in whatever they do. And the area that they really need to do well is especially about Galamsey and corruption as well.
Galamsey and corruption.
Yes. When it comes to corruption, it's not corruption about themselves, but lack of progress in the prosecution of corrupt cases is what people are angry about.
So they need to make progress on two fronts. But generally, do you get the opinion that they are listening to the data?
I think they're listening to the data. They have no choice. Look, some of the actions John Mahama has taken was driven by data. A lot of it. And when you see approval rating on certain areas going down, you tend to sit up. We did a poll recently that shows that his weakest area is job creation. And you can see the effort they are trying to make in job creation. They've been hit hard by the opposition on the 24-hour economy, rightly so, because they don't see it being openly championed. And hardly you hear Guzitano and his people going around making noise. I think they need to be supported to make it a reality, because the biggest problem for this country was unemployment and economy, and it's still unemployment. Indeed, if you ask people what are the biggest issues facing Ghana today, it's no longer the economy, it's unemployment.
Unemployment is what they need to work on.
Yes.
Well, thank you. Thank you, as always, for speaking to us and sharing your reflections with us on the 2024 elections. But what is that one memory that you will never forget about the 2024 elections? There's a particular event that happened that will never escape your memory.
You know, it was the result of the Ashanti region. And we have said that there was no way MPP was going to cross 70%. Absolutely no way. And the average we've given them in Ashanti region was 65%. I think they got to 54 point something percent. And for us to get this Ashanti region that close, very precise, was humbling.
Thank you. And I wish you the best of the day.
Same to you.
Mussa Dankwa is Executive Director, Global InfoAnalytics, speaking to us. And he says that even if the Pope had been draped in MPP colors and presented as a candidate of the New Patriotic Party in 2024, there was no way they were going to win that election. Now, there's that opinion that perhaps if Kennedy Ajapong had won the primaries, he would have a fighting chance. As against Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, he says the data does not say so. And he wants the MPP to